Hey, everybody. Good morning and welcome to the very first Mayday morning show. I'm so excited to be here. I'm Julie Roginski here with Michelle Kinney and Frederick Pogue, and we hope you join us right here every morning at 8 a.m. Eastern, Monday through Friday, as we give you all the news of the day, unfiltered, unbossed, and unafraid. Here's why we're launching this morning show.
Joe and I went to Mar-a-Lago to meet personally with President-elect Trump.
Now, we talked about a lot of issues, including abortion, mass deportation, threats of political retribution against political opponents, and media outlets. We talked about that a good bit.
In this meeting, President Trump was cheerful, he was upbeat, he seemed interested in finding common ground with Democrats on some of the most divisive issues. And for those asking why we would go speak to the president-elect during such fraught times, especially between us, I guess I would ask back, why wouldn't we?
Have you had any contact with him since that meeting, the two of you?
Yeah.
Really?
Did you have Trump back on?
Yeah, at some point.
You guys still talk?
We do. Yeah, we do. I mean, we've known each other for a very long time. We talk and communicate, and I try to get insight on what's going on.
I've heard from a lot of people that I respect a great deal, leaders who are really powerful, who just wanted to let me know that that was the right thing to do. I've seen, just like the very opposite happening online.
You'll be smarter, and you have been over the last several weeks, because of what we talked about with Donald Trump for an hour and a half. We got information on where they're going, and I do report that, just like great reporters at the New York Times, the Washington Post, the Wall Street Journal.
Oof. Well, other morning shows, we've never run down to Mar-a-Lago, and we never plan to. We're just here to tell you the truth because we have no corporate overlords and an unabiding commitment to saving our democracy and not saving our corporate jobs. While we're happy to debate opinions, we'll kick you off the show if you dispute facts. You guys, we know what the facts are. The sun rises in the east, the earth is round, and no one stole the 2020 election. If you try that here, we'll just cut off your mic and bid you farewell. We're building a community of truth tellers here, and we really hope you join us. And thank you so much for joining us for our first show today.
חיים שלי, אתה אלוף גיבור, כפרה עליך אני, כמה החיות שלך מחכות לראות אותך, ואילנה, חיים שלי ונוני, כל העולם חיים שלי, אתה, בטח.
Wow. Well, at approximately 1 a.m. this morning, Eastern time, 8 a.m. Israel time, 20 hostages walked away from over 2 years of captivity and returned home to Israel. If you watch that video, your heart breaks for the mom who probably thought she'd be able to hold her son again. In exchange, about 2,000 Palestinian prisoners will be released by Israel. And on his way to the Middle East aboard Air Force One yesterday, our president said this.
President Benjamin Netanyahu, the prime minister, has not gone so far as to say the war is over. In your view, is the war between Israel and Hamas over?
The war is over. The war is over. Okay, you understand that?
Mr. President, is the ceasefire?
Good to see you, Mr. President. Good to see you. I'm sure you've seen reports of Hamas rearming, instituting themselves as a Palestinian police force, shooting rivals. What is your message to Hamas?
We are standing because they do want to stop the problems, and they've been open about it, and we gave them approval for a period of time. You have to understand, they've lost probably 60,000 people. That's a lot of retribution. They've lost 60,000 people, and the ones that are living right now were, in many cases, very young when this all started. and we are having them watch that there's not going to be big crime or some of the problems that you have when you have areas like this that have been literally demolished. You know, you have 2 million people, and probably it'll be less than that, but you have close to 2 million people going back to buildings that have been demolished. And a lot of bad things can happen. So we want it to be safe. I think it's going to be fine.
Mr. President, you had
Who knows for sure, Katie, but I think it's going to be fine.
Mr. President.
Wow. Well, the Prime Minister of Qatar, Sheikh Mohammed bin Abdulrahman Al Thani, who was one of the main mediators in ending the war, told the New York Times that Israel and Hamas were not ready for a comprehensive peace deal. Hamas has said publicly that it's opposed to disarmament, though it is open to a long-term ceasefire. Meanwhile, Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has promised that Gaza will be demilitarized one way or the other. He said either it will be achieved the easy way or it will be achieved the hard way. So you guys, what do you think? Is Trump right that the war is over? Frederick, you go first.
Yeah, just like inflation's been defeated, and homelessness is at an end, and look, this is exactly what Trump does. And it's if foreign policy were just a soundbite, if it were just a photo op or just a quick on the news, that's it. Yeah, Trump's right, but the problem we have, and we've seen this from him time and time again, he's not invested in any sort of long-term building, anything that takes any kind of time and continuing diplomacy. He's not in for it. At best, this is a ceasefire while both sides potentially rearm, which is going to require delicate negotiations. There's been no talk, to my knowledge, about a two-state solution put forth by the Trump administration. There's no metrics to a lasting peace where both sides have to adhere to, which in any kind of situation like this is what you would need. So Trump's doing what he always does. He gets his photo op, and that's it. He's done. So, and then afterwards, if it falls apart, or if it does well, he'll take credit for it. If it falls apart, he'll blame someone else. So, what are your thoughts on this, Michelle?
Well, good morning, everyone. I pulled a clip actually. Trump is speaking in Israel right now. He said the following.
It is a good feeling. Isn't that nice to say? I just said the hostage. First time I said the hostages are back. It feels so good to say it.
It feels so good to say it. So, okay. We're all so thrilled, right, that the hostages are back home, right?
Yes.
I'm going to throw up this tweet last night. This is the 20 hostages that, as of last night, set to be released. Thrilled for these men, their families. Obviously, we all wish it was a whole lot more. And I wish I saw some children, and I wish I saw some women in that group. That being said, the clip that we just watched, Donald Trump is a showman.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, he is very excited to be at a podium. He's very excited that everyone is listening to him and looking at him and wanting to know what he has to say. And people are going to thank him. Thank you, Mr. Trump. Thank you, Mr. Trump. But here's the thing: we're dealing with two sides of a horrible situation that have no interest in this really ending. Bibi Netanyahu needs a conflict to continue so that he can hold on to power. Hamas is a terrorist organization. They also need to hold on to power. Now, in that clip that we showed earlier, when he was speaking on Air Force One, Trump talks about Hamas rearming themselves, and in so many words says that he's given permission for Hamas to take out Palestinians. So, does this end? Is this over? I don't know. And I don't know for whom. quite frankly.
Yeah, I think you raise a very good point, Michelle, which is, look, Trump can get it. I think Trump can get a two-state solution if he wanted,
Mm,
in a way that no other president could, and I'll tell you why.
interesting.
He is of the Middle East. He has that ethos, right? He is a might makes right guy. He is a grifter, as a lot of these Middle Eastern despots are. He is a wannabe authoritarian, as the Mohammed bin Salman in Saudi Arabia is, and Al Sisi in Egypt is, and so on and so forth, right? And even Erdogan increasingly in Turkey is. And so, and of course, Qatar, I don't know what they're giving him. Well, we know what they're giving the Trump family. They're building golf courses. They're
Right.
building a military base here in the United
Airplanes.
States.
Right.
They're giving us airport. They're giving Trump airplanes. So, he has sway over them and they have sway over him. And God only knows what these countries are putting into his crypto fund and Wickoff's son's crypto fund that nobody knows anything about. So he inherently gets the ethos of how they think, because he is one of those guys. And I will tell you, unlike Joe Biden or Bill Clinton or Barack Obama, if he said to Hamas, if you don't agree to release these hostages, the United States is going to go in and make this even more of a rubble, you believe him because he's nuts, right? Like, he doesn't care about the numbers of people he kills. He just wants his Nobel Peace Prize, and he's going to get it one way or the other.
Right.
So from that perspective, and he, of course, could have gone to Netanyahu, which he kind of did, and said, you got to do this. And it's not good for Netanyahu, because Netanyahu's entire coalition, because that's the only way he can survive in power, is based on these messianic, very religious people who believe that Gaza is should be a part of Israel, and the West Bank, which they refer to as Judea and Samaria, is also part of a biblical Israel. So they're not interested in any kind of, negotiation or anything else. Listen, it's a great day for Donald Trump today. But as I wrote on my Substack on Friday on Salty Politics, a good day does not make a Nobel Peace Prize. What makes a Nobel Peace Prize is a lasting peace.
Mm-hmm.
And if Hamas is now, quote unquote, policing Gaza, all they've done is put on military uniforms, and now they're going to continue murdering and killing anybody that they think collaborated with them. And their entire ethos is that they want to drive the Jews into the sea. It is part of their charter. Why do we think that suddenly that's not part of their mentality anymore, their calculus anymore? You need to have a Donald Trump type guy, if not Trump himself, because he's got other things he has to do, like, oppress people in this country. But you need a guy like that to spend 24/7 on this. And we know full well that there's nobody in Trump world who's going to spend 24/7 on this. I don't know where Marco Rubio is. He's still Secretary of State. Nobody's seen him. Steve Wickoff comes in, comes out. He's Putin got, he's got like a portfolio that's bigger than Marco Rubio's. And Jared Kushner, when he's not profiting off of Saudi Arabia and Qatar and others, I guess flew in to seal the deal so that he could have a good press conference. And then Ivanka standing next to him, when they're not socializing with the Kardashians. And so, this is kind of a joke. I hate to say this. I'm thrilled for the hostages.
Yeah.
That's, that is, I'm not going to deny that Trump got this done. And I don't know that any other president could have gotten it. But I will say that there's no Nobel Peace Prize for you if the day, the week, the month, the year after this is over, we go back to the status quo with them killing each other, which is going to happen unless somebody's on this 24/7.
Yeah.
Well, it can't be Marco Rubio. I mean, in his defense, he has like 5 jobs in the Trump administration.
I don't know what they are.
It's not funny. It's not funny, but it's just like they're so unserious. These people are so deeply unserious in a moment that requires the most serious people. And that is why, to your point, Julie, peace must be lasting. It must be more than 12 hours. But, obviously, we're thrilled for the hostages and their families. Like, honestly, that, in the short term, in this moment, that is the most important thing. But I think tomorrow's another day. I'm very, very nervous. I'm very, very nervous.
Yeah. And
for
I
the
think
people of Gaza, honestly.
I am too. And I will also I just want to add one more thing and get your thoughts on this. He's doing this because he really wants that trophy. He's like a swag guy, and he wants the swag because Obama got the swag, and he wants
Right.
to get the swag.
Listen,
And
he wants a Purple Heart too, but he doesn't want to go into battle.
well, he thinks
There it is.
he
There
deserved-
it is.
he thinks he deserved a Purple Heart for not getting STDs in Vietnam. If you remember, he said that back in the day to Howard Stern. But look, I get that he wants the swag, but I will also say you don't get a Nobel Peace Prize for peace abroad when you're fomenting war at home.
That's
And that to me is the big crux here. We need somebody to come in here from abroad, the way he came to Israel and to the Middle East, and tell him that if he wants a Nobel Peace Prize, we need the Nobel. Frankly, this is a plea to the Nobel Committee. Tell him if he cuts this out here in the United States and starts treating his own people like his constituents and not his enemies, then perhaps he'll be eligible for the Nobel Peace Prize. Like, seriously, can somebody from Norway just show up here and say that?
Yeah.
Because if they say that, it might make him think twice because he's so desperate for this prize.
I don't know that he'll think twice.
I don't know. I think he really wants that Nobel Peace Prize.
Yeah.
But tell him at the end of his term, if he leaves in 3 more years without any problems, he'll get the Nobel Peace Prize, assuming he doesn't invoke the Insurrection Act, assuming he stops arresting people, assuming he just bans these ICE thugs. It's never going to happen. But,
No.
frankly, a bunch of Norwegians sitting in Oslo are the people who probably have the most sway to get this done more than anybody else, which is insane to me.
Yeah.
I think what would happen with that is just, because Trump doesn't want to actually do any work, especially changing his own moral stances. Basically, he'll not get it, and then MAGA will give him sort of the MAGA version of the Peace Prize, which he'll say is so much better than the actual Nobel Peace Prize because it's the Trump Peace Prize. Like, they'll name it after him. Then his ego is assuaged. So
held together with Elmer's glue, and
that's a great point.
Made in China.
He's probably going to start his own. He's going to be like, why do they get to decide the Nobel Peace Prize? We're going to have the Trump Peace Prize, and we're going to fund it, and I'm going to give it out every year, and my family's going to give it out after I'm gone, and that's going to be the big. I mean, you're absolutely right. That's what's coming next.
It's going to be like the watch commercial that's running on Newsmax. Right? It was, hello, your favorite President Trump. It's Trump time. Here's your watches, but this time it'll be a Peace Prize. It's gonna be a whole new Trump TM at the end.
Enjoy a slice of a new peaceful.
It's just so
enjoy
ridiculous.
a slice of a new peaceful Gaza with Trump steaks and a Trump timeshare right on the water.
Yeah, and it's going to be as realistic to get that timeshare as it is to get to get anything else that Trump has ever made. It's going to be insane. I mean, remember that crazy tweet that he put out that somebody made as a joke about how it's going to be Trump Gaza, like Mar-a-Lago, but Gaza-Lago, and he was like all gold.
No, listen,
the beach.
A lack of imagination is a dangerous thing, Scott. Like,
listen, I've been to that part of the world. I've never been to Gaza, but I assume it's just as beautiful as the rest of the Mediterranean coast in Israel, or could be. And I'm sure he's looking at that as potentially great real estate, if only you just got rid of the pesky Palestinians who are there, which of course would make the Israelis quite happy. All right, you guys. Well, we got to move on. We got a great guest coming up. One of the things we're doing here is bringing you stuff that nobody else does. So let's do it.
here on the Mayday Network, we are so excited to bring you fresh voices and new ideas. Voices like housing expert Katie Brennan, who is running for General Assembly in Hudson County, New Jersey, right across the river from us in New York City. Katie has a really interesting and I think very creative idea for how to confront Donald Trump at this moment in time. She recently wrote an op-ed in the New York Daily News that went a little viral. And she said, quote, "You do not negotiate with abusers. Democrats across the country need to understand. They need to understand this if they want to actually stand up to Donald Trump, especially right now, as he's punishing Democratic states by freezing their federal funding. Katie understands what so many Democrats, unfortunately, in leadership do not understand, that sternly worded letters are not going to cut it in 2025 and 2026 and beyond. So instead, Katie has come up with a way for New Jersey to fight back against Donald Trump. For more, we welcome the wonderful Katie Brennan.
Good morning.
Good
Hey, Katie, welcome.
Thank you.
Glad you're here. I've heard you've come up with a way to fight back against Trump in ways that maybe Democrats might want to consider. Tell us what the president is doing and how you want New Jersey to respond.
The president decided that he was going to take back $18 billion in congressionally approved money. So read illegally, take $18 billion for the Gateway Tunnel. So this is a train tunnel that goes between New York and New Jersey. But what's important here is that it's fallen apart. If it falls apart, not only will our economy collapse, but the entire country's economy will collapse. So yeah, he did this to punish New York and New Jersey, but this would be detrimental to everybody. So the president says he's going to take $18 billion for the critical infrastructure. He's not allowed. I think that all of these states, instead of just sitting back, writing a strongly worded letter, or saying they're going to sue, fine, do that. Also, actually fight back. New Jersey has leverage, and I want to see the leadership in New Jersey actually act like they have leverage. We have some Trump property, including the Bedminster Golf Course. So Trump's beloved Bedminster Golf Course is right here in Jersey. He unfortunately frequents it all the time. I think we should take it. We should take his golf course like he took the $18 billion. And, and then we have a housing crisis, so we should build some affordable housing there.
How are you going to take it, Katie? Because you said you're going to take it. You can't obviously storm it with guns. So how are you going to take it?
Eminent domain. I think we take it with eminent domain. We use the powers that the state has, and we take it.
Is the state just allowed to do that? Like the state can just come in and eminent domain a piece of property?
I think that creatively, yes, we can. The state can eminent domain property, and there's more than a few ways in which we could say that this property qualifies for the use of eminent domain.
Nice.
It's interesting because I obviously know a little bit about New Jersey. New Jersey has a law, and I'm not going to get into the details, but it basically mandates that every town needs to build a certain amount of affordable housing. Bedminster, where Trump is, and I drive past that golf course every single week as I go out to Pennsylvania, is a very affluent community, and they probably are not meeting their affordable housing requirements, or if they are, they're probably can do a little bit more. At the same time, New Jersey's quite an overdeveloped state, so having that large piece of property sitting in Bedminster, like a golf course, is the perfect place to build some affordable housing, because the rest of Bedminster, it's rolling hills, it's farms, but it's not a golf course for the most part. There is, I think, one more golf course around there somewhere, maybe a few. But I love this idea. And if New Jersey did that, if New Jersey tried to do that, if the governor of New Jersey and the state legislature of New Jersey, by the way, all Democrats, actually moved to do that, at least it would show that there's some fight, which I think Katie sorely needed all across this country. And I'm glad to see, especially younger voices like yours coming up, getting into positions of power. You're going to win in November, and present these kinds of ideas, because God knows we don't have that kind of leadership in Washington, and we certainly don't have it in most states, including the one that you're running to represent.
We're obeying in advance. That's how I feel like we're just sitting back and waiting for him to keep hitting us. And that's why I framed it the way that I did. Sure, the Bedminster part and the leverage, that's all real, but also the don't negotiate with abusers. How many times are we going to let him do this and think that the next time is going to be different, that the next time he's going to come to reason? It's not going to happen. So we have to use the tools that we do have available. And not only could we eminent domain this site, but New Jersey, you've heard other states threaten this, but it is real. New Jersey is the biggest donor state in the country, which means we give more than we get back at the worst ratio in the country. So turn off the spigot.
I mean, maybe, you know what, maybe the solution is here where, you know, we kill them with kindness, right? So maybe we do eminent domain, but we name it the Donald J. Trump Helping Hands Homeless Fund. You know, like, and then maybe he's just, I mean, maybe it's like, well, you know, it is what it is. I mean,
I love that.
You're doing good, Donald. You're doing good. Look, you know, it's a thought.
Maybe he can get his Peace Prize for that. We can end homelessness.
Right. Well,
Yeah.
the other thing too. Oh, sorry. Go ahead. If I remember correctly, I remember hearing Donald Trump talking so much about eminent domain back in the day when he was trying to build casinos in Atlantic City, obviously before he screwed over all of the small businesses and contractors and people. And I mean, the list goes on. I can't imagine, I mean, other than obviously maybe people have short memories, because I know he did win quite a lot of the vote in New Jersey this time around comparatively. But like, what are the people in New Jersey saying? Like, I know your article went, you know, a little viral, but what overall has been the reaction? Like, have you been getting phone calls, emails, feedback from people, from voters?
The reaction is overwhelmingly positive. People are just, the bar is in hell for what our elected officials are doing. And as Julie said, we have a Democratic governor, we have a Democratic legislature on both sides of the House. What are we waiting for? I truly do not understand. So I've had strangers come up to me at events. I've had emails. People so desperately want to see that this is not just going to keep happening. And we have a gubernatorial election right now where the Republican candidate, he's run 3 times before, used to be kind of a never Trump guy, fully embraced him this time. And people are scared about that, but they're also scared about, okay, what is the president going to do when this guy comes in, if this guy comes in, or if he doesn't and we get punished again and he comes after us, and how much are we going to take?
You know, it's interesting because Ivana is buried on that golf course. Ivana Trump, his first wife, is buried on that golf course, which is a little strange. So
a little,
right? Like by the 9th hole or somewhere. So I suppose you can't eminent domain a cemetery, right? But the whole thing is not designated as a cemetery. So you maybe leave a little plot where the Trumps intend to be buried, right in the middle of this affordable housing, in the courtyard of this affordable housing development.
Make a park.
Yeah, and make it a little park. That's right. It could be a little pocket park
with
a cemetery in the middle of it, which is probably quite beautiful.
Yeah, he can come visit.
But it's a big piece of land, right? So just because one part of it is designated as a cemetery doesn't mean that the rest of it can't be touched.
That's right.
Okay. So I think that's because I think people are confused about how he was able to get around having anything eminent domain, but the reality is it's possible and it should be considered. And I think it should be talked about. And, you know, I think the reason we wanted to bring you on, Katie, is nobody's talking about these solutions. Like nobody's talking about these issues, and everybody's just sitting there wringing their hands, and they're bringing on Chuck Schumer and they're bringing in Hakeem Jeffries, and they're bringing on all of these people who are like, well, we wrote a letter where we can't do anything because we're in the minority. Well, the states have a tremendous amount of power, and especially states where Donald Trump spends a lot of time. And the 2 states where he spends the most amount of time these days are Ron DeSantis is Florida, which of course he's not going to have anything happen. And in the blue so far, potentially for the next at least 3 months, we'll see what happens in November, blue state of New Jersey, where the governor, I know, is very good friends with Jared and Ivanka, so he's not going to move to do anything. But the legislature should just go ahead and try. I mean, who does the eminent domaining? Does it have to be done through legislation, or the township has to do it, or what happens?
I think that it would be strongest if you went through legislation and you pass legislation, you create some kind of redevelopment plan, whatever it may be, for a higher use, highest and best use, and you take it. And then you move to develop it. I also think that given Trump's long history in New Jersey. You mentioned it, Michelle, his
Yeah.
multiple bankrupt casinos. There's probably oodles of
Yeah.
avenues here in terms of money owed and kind of taking back what is needed for the people of New Jersey. So yeah, pass legislation, go into session right now. Figure out how
Yeah.
to withhold funds, tax the hell out of it. Something, do anything
Yeah.
to strike back.
Give him a taste of his own medicine, honestly.
Right.
He's the kind of guy who can dish it out. He can't take it in so many ways. And listen, New Jersey is like known for fighters. Like I think of New Jersey, like New Jersey needs to go New Jersey on Donald Trump. You know what I mean? Like I listen, whether it
Yeah.
happens or not, like I think it's just such a great idea. I really do. It's so creative. So creative.
But it also
And we're not alone. There's other states too,
Right.
you know?
Right. I know.
Yeah, but it shows fight, and it
Mhm.
shows creativity, and it shows that people are thinking about ways to stand up to this guy and give him a taste of his own medicine. And I was around in New Jersey for Atlantic City. Like I remember that really well. And what he did in Atlantic City was awful. I mean, there was a African American, very old lady who had a house that she'd had for decades, sitting in the path of where he wanted to build a casino, and he tortured that woman. I mean, he
Yeah.
tortured her, and she wouldn't give it up, and she wouldn't give it up. And I can't remember if she ultimately died at the end and he got it, or whether she maybe caved at the end. But I mean, the amount of torture that he subjected this woman to is unconscionable. And he wanted to eminent domain her house, and I think he eminent domained. He got the town or whoever, maybe it was the city or whoever, to eminent domain everything around her.
Mhm.
But for some reason, they couldn't get her house. And maybe it was right when the Supreme Court allowed the eminent domain laws to go into effect, is when maybe they ultimately got the house. But just brutal. And he was very much into eminent domain. I mean, he really pushed that and
Yeah, I
celebrated.
like remember him talking about it all the time.
Yeah, when the Supreme Court passed it back in the 90s,
Yeah.
passed it, ruled in favor of eminent domain in the 90s.
Well,
He really was celebrating it. So
There
let's
is,
do it.
and there is the court way we could go here too. You can
Hmm.
file in court to do a quick take of eminent domain. And I mean, that story about Atlantic City also reminds me, sort of the sweet justice of all of this is also that Trump and his family and his father are notorious for housing discrimination.
Mm.
And for the decades and decades that they very explicitly would not let Black and brown people live in their house, in their various properties. And so that's kind of the other side of this too, of, extra stick it
Yeah.
to him.
Well, here's my concern though, and Michelle mentioned that New Jersey needs to go, New Jersey on
Yeah.
Trump.
Mhm.
Is there enough hairspray and spray on tan for them to actually go
Oh,
full New Jersey?
Hey now.
Here
On
come-
what? I'm asking a serious question here.
Here goes. All right.
What?
There's not one show that we can do without trashing the best state of the nation.
It's not my fault. I'm in the best state in the union called Colorado.
You are from
It's-
East Tennessee, my friend, so pipe down. It is beautiful out there, but not as beautiful as parts of New Jersey. And
I
wanna
just
hear
want
the-
I'd like to mention before we toss it back to Katie that my Broncos beat the Jets this past Sunday. So
The New
just
York
point-
Jets? The New York
Yes.
Jets?
Well, they're in
No.
New Jersey. It's New York, New Jersey. It's all the same thing, really.
All right. First of all,
Well,
all right. Well,
anyways.
my
That's how everyone here feels.
yeah. Nobody cares about the Jets. My Giants beat the Eagles this week, so
They
as far as
did.
They did, which I'll take it. But I don't want to hear any New Jersey discrimination. I am fully opposed to it. I will also cut off your mic if you do that. The earth is flat.
She'll go New Jersey. I think.
The earth is flat. The sun rises in the west, and New Jersey sucks. The three biggest myths around. Oh, no. 2020 election was stolen. I don't want to hear it. I love this. I'm actually going to be in Katie's district in a few hours today. I have a meeting there. If I can monsoon my way across the river, but New Jersey's the best. I don't want to hear it. Katie, thank you. Thank you for coming here. Most importantly, thank you for coming up with ideas that nobody else has come up with.
Mhm.
That's exactly the kind of stuff we need. And come back and tell us how it goes. And when you get to the legislature, just Introduce
Yeah.
the bill.
And Katie, where can our viewers find you? Where can we find you?
You can find me at Katie Brennan, FORNJ, Katie Brennan for New Jersey.com. And if any Democratic leadership is listening, people so desperately want this.
Yeah.
You too could have people coming up to you. Just do something, I beg of you. So
Yeah.
thank you all for having me.
Thank you, Katie. And just
that,
to, yes, just to echo Julie, when you do win and you are in the the position that you are running for now, we hope that you will come back and tell us all about the things and update us on all the eminent domain riffraff. Katie, thank you so much for being with us today.
Thanks.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye. What a delight. What a delight.
Yes, she's awesome.
She's the best.
All right.
Well, transition.
Yeah.
All right. So this one's a little closer to home for me. So as a former veteran, you know, recently, like, there was a little reported story that's happening under the radar that should trouble everybody because it puts all of us in grave danger. The Trump administration is preparing to send Afghan refugees, a lot of people, the very people who fought alongside of us in a generational long war, who translated our words, guarded our convoys, helped us survive in a horrible war zone. They're getting ready to ship them back to the Taliban in Afghanistan. Secretary of Homeland Security, Kristi Noem, recently said that Afghanistan is, quote, stable, unquote, stable enough to return refugees. We know that's not true. The Taliban is as brutal as ever. Afghan girls are banned from secondary school, women are barred from working, and free speech is non-existent. Public executions have returned, and revenge killings against anyone accused of helping the United States have continued. So I want to get your thoughts, Julie, before I launch on this.
Yeah,
You and Michelle.
I think we have video on this, don't we?
Yeah. Let me run that right.
Way to show what's happening.
Yeah.
You don't have his name. You're not entitled to his name. I work with the U.S. military back in my home country. I have all the documents. I didn't have a credible fear interview. I work with the U.S. military. I was interpreter. I work with the U.S. military.
Do you have a warrant for his arrest?
Yes, we do. Provide the warrant. Provide the warrant. I work with the U.S. military. Just tell them.
You can come with us, sir.
Provide the warrant.
You can come with us.
You don't have a warrant. I work U.S. military back in my home country, Afghanistan. See, this is my situation.
Can I see his warrant?
Yes, I'll show it to you in the elevator.
Or you can show it now and make sure it's
No,
the right
no.
person. Because I've seen you cuff the wrong people.
Did you back up, please?
Pretty embarrassing.
But I say like more than 3 years I worked with the U.S. military back in my home country. But I came here
Back up.
Thank you for your service.
to make a bit of life. I didn't know that it's going to happen like this for me. I never thought about this. I have all the evidence that I work with the U.S. military, everything. I was interpreter.
Listen.
I was in a very dangerous part of Afghanistan with the U.S. military. Right.
So what is the phone?
Your
neighbors staying with
you.
Okay.
You don't have their name. You don't have a warrant.
My client was just detained by ICE after his master calendar hearing. The judge did not grant the motion to dismiss. She has set my client's case for a merits hearing on his asylum application.
Look, I don't even know what to say about this. That particular gentleman who was arrested was detained for a long time, but was finally released not long ago.
Yeah.
But the larger issue is this: they have just ended protection for Afghan refugees. In other words, they could be deported just as easily as somebody from Venezuela, where they also ended maybe not Venezuela, but from any of these countries in South America and everywhere else around the world for the most part. These are the people who kept Pete Hegseth safe in Afghanistan when he served.
Yeah.
Right.
And JD Vance.
And these are the people who risked their lives and were told that if they helped us, we would help them. And this is a huge crisis for this country, not just because this is immoral, not just because this is reprehensible for these particular refugees, but because it puts us, American citizens, in so much danger. Why would anybody ever help us again? There are American assets sitting in the Kremlin today who are either generals in the SVR, the Russian Foreign Intelligence, or in the GRU, the Russian Military Intelligence, or somehow connected to Vladimir Putin's inner circle or to people close to Vladimir Putin's inner circle. Those people seeing this are going to stop helping us because they understand that it's a one-way street. Why? That if they ever get kind of fingered and figured out, I hate that, sorry, bad word, but if they ever get
It's very early from this.
Identified.
It's a morning show, folks.
I know it's a morning show, and Julie's thinking body
live.
Yeah. Hopefully the kids are still sleeping. It's Columbus Day weekend. But if they ever get identified, they have no guarantees whatsoever that we'll exfiltrate them and we'll bring them here, and we're not going to send them right back.
Yeah.
If I'm at the CIA, or I'm in military intelligence, or I'm just somebody who's planning the next war against China, and I need assets within Beijing, close to Xi Jinping, I'm freaking out about this. This is going to put us in danger. People who could warn us against the next 9/11, about the next 9/11, are not going to do that now, because what do they get out of it if something happens to them and they get identified? So I don't know. This is just so heartbreaking to me, Michelle. I called you when I saw this.
Oh yeah, I mean, so before we knew, the end result here, that this gentleman had been freed, we had seen there's like a group chat with a bunch of Democrats and creators on Signal, and somebody had shared the initial story, the initial video in this chat, and I think it was like 15 minutes later, Julie calls me. And she's like, Michelle, I swear to God, I thought I was just going to drive my car off the road and have to take a second to breathe, because I cannot believe what I just saw. Because listen, this is the thing where I think people get caught up or confused. Okay, Donald Trump's only going to be president for another 3-something years. Well, first of all, we don't know about that. We don't know that he's ever going to leave, assuming that he survives the next 3 years. But more importantly, we have shown the world that our Constitution, our way of life, our way of governing, our way of doing diplomacy around the world has just been a gentleman's agreement. And that depending on who is in the White House and who is in control of the other branches of government, that we cannot be trustworthy. We do not have a shared value system in how we are going to conduct ourselves. We have the Trump way and the Republican way, and then we have the American way. And the choice is Trump or America. You can't do both. And so, even if someone was to, like another Joe Biden or a Kamala Harris or something like, or, Gavin Newsom becomes president, right? It's not going to matter, because the rest of the world is going to look at this and say, well, that's just fleeting. Because what if they lose the election in another few years? Then we're right back to where we were. And, the United States of America, we are in the middle of our own authoritarian takeover with our own set of problems. And I just don't think anyone, especially, someone as vulnerable as this interpreter from Afghanistan, can ever trust us ever again and put their lives and the lives of their families in our hands.
And I'm going to say this. There's something called the Afghan Adjustment Act, which Lindsey Graham on the Republican side has sponsored, Amy Klobuchar on the Democratic side, and it would give evacuees, Afghan evacuees, permanent protection and prevent deportations. It's languished for years. In the meantime, when we pulled out of Afghanistan, right, you had all of these people on the Republican side going nuts, nuts, and
bonkers.
Bonkers, and it's just it's just ridiculous. I mean, Lindsey Graham basically said this, he's a defender of American honor, and Tom Cotton said he's a defender of American honor. Well, why don't you have leadership move this bill? And leadership, by the way, understood when it was Biden who was pulling out of Afghanistan, because this is what John Thune said at the time. Thousands of Afghans who worked with U.S. troops and U.S. intelligence are in grave danger. Speaker Mike Johnson, he wasn't speaker back then, said, as the Taliban takes over Kabul, the citizens of Afghanistan are in grave danger. Senate Armed Services Committee Chairman Roger Wicker accused Biden of orchestrating, quote, the most shameful and cowardly betrayal of friends by an American president in my memory. And Pete Hegseth, when he was on Fox, came in to talk to Weekday Fox and said that this pullout was worse than Saigon, and accused the Biden administration of, quote, failure to understand the nature of the enemy. Well, what has changed? Except that the Taliban in the last several years has consolidated its power. Right. Why are the same people who clearly understood the threat to Afghan citizens then deporting the very people who helped us back there now? They will be killed. This is what the Taliban does. They don't make any bones about it. They're going to kill them for collaborating with the enemy, with the Americans. Why is it okay for Pete Hegseth, who on his very first day in office as Secretary of Defense said, we're going to protect Afghan refugees? Because MAGA is more important, because deportations, because Tom Homan is more important,
because owning the libs is more important. Yep. I mean, that's what it is. And Frederick, to your point, when you started the discussion here, you quoted Kristi Noem, right, and saying, didn't she say, "Oh, the Afghanistan is stable now"? I'm like, since when?
Yeah.
Are we reading the same newspaper? I don't think so.
Well, you got so MAGA and the Taliban, they're pretty much cousins at this point in how they act. There was something in that video that really struck me on a visceral level, is as he was being taken away from appearing at a hearing he was supposed to be at for his immigration or requesting asylum. There was no warrant, and someone, I think, thanked him for his service. And that's one of the things as a veteran I can't stand, especially coming from anybody who's a MAGA or Republican, because don't thank me for my service when you're cutting benefits for veterans. Don't thank, like the suicide hotline or staff at the VA. And the thing, what people get lost in the sauce with guys like this interpreter is, we came in and they hoped for a better Afghanistan. That was their hope. And they signed on with us. And unlike Pete Hegseth and JD Vance, who, look, everybody needs people in the rear with the gear. They need people that are there to support, if Pete Hegseth has medals on his chest or ribbons, they're for typing. He was an admin guy. JD Vance was in intelligence. He sat in an air-conditioned room and read reports.
Yeah,
this guy
JD Vance do like PR, like for
I mean, basically that's what he did.
Which they're very good at, but like you know, let's be real.
That's why he got a job on Fox News. But like this guy, this Afghan interpreter was in the field, right? And he was having to translate for American, service personnel in very dangerous, very tense situations. Because on the one hand, if he doesn't make the right call, he can get killed. And even while he's living with his family in Afghanistan, they're targets by the Taliban, by, like Al-Qaeda. He's putting him and his whole family, extended family, all their lives on the line. And yet, when it's all over and we pull out and these people have to leave their only home, their nation, and their culture and come here, our thanks is, nah, get out. Like, we're done with you.
Yeah, and you're a Marine, so you know this, right? These Marines go, they kick down a door, and there's a family sitting there that's terrified, and you need somebody to talk to them. They don't speak English. We don't speak Pashto. You need the interpreter.
Is a little boy running up to you on the street because he has an IED strapped to him somewhere, or is he just a little boy?
Yeah.
Right? Like we were talking life and death calls every day that these interpreters are responsible for, right? If you're trying to gain intelligence and you're looking for, terrorists that are amongst a village or something, and you're rolling in, you got to have somebody that has to talk to them. And these people are the bridge. And it's unconscionable, like the way that we're treating folks that have helped our nation. That ostensibly we go to Afghanistan and say, hey, we got to do this to keep ourselves safe. We got to do this for security. And the people that are vital to this effort, this is how we're treating them. Don't thank me for my service to that point then.
Right.
Don't say you're for the troops, because the people that kept our troops safe, you're throwing them to the wolves, is what you're saying.
Yeah, and I think about, right, back in the 80s when we went into Afghanistan and armed them to try to beat the Russians, and then we effed up the end game. Now, if you've seen the movie Charlie Wilson's War, Philip Seymour Hoffman, at the end of the movie, right, he says, can't F up the end game. Now, to speak to Aaron Sorkin screenplays, and I want to just touch on something you said, Frederick, about how the Taliban and MAGA are so similar. There is an episode of The Newsroom where they talk about this, and they call, at the time, right, it was the Tea Party, the American Taliban. And I just want to read this quote because the main character anchor at this network goes through the list of things that made the Tea Party, now MAGA, very similar to the Taliban. Ideological purity, compromise as weakness, a fundamentalist belief in scriptural literalism, denying science, unmoved by facts, undeterred by new information, a hostile fear of progress, a demonization of education, a need to control women's bodies, severe xenophobia, tribal mentality, intolerance of dissent, pathological hatred of the United States government. They can, and this is what he says at the end, they can call themselves the Tea Party, they can call themselves conservatives, and they can even call themselves Republicans. The Republicans certainly shouldn't. But we should call them what they are, the American Taliban.
And that's honestly, when I said that, that's what I was referencing. Yeah.
Oh, well.
I was referencing Newsroom.
I mean,
yeah.
Very memorable. Very
It's true,
memorable.
and they might not be beheading people yet, but they are certainly doing everything else. The retaliation against anybody who speaks out, the assault on education, the demeaning of women, all of it. And it's I've always laughed at this whole notion of them talking about how, Sharia law, somebody, you can't have Muslims here, they're going to bring Sharia law. We have Sharia law in a lot of these states. It's not Sharia law. It is fundamentalist Christian law. It's the same thing.
Yep.
Yeah. Y'all, what is it? Y'all Qaeda, vanilla ISIS. I mean, it's just like white Christian version of it. I see very, very few differences.
Yeah. All right, you guys. There is a rally coming up, a march coming up.
Oh, yeah.
This weekend, which Michelle, you created a wonderful video. I think people should watch it for the Seneca Project. This is obviously not a Seneca show, but I think it's so important for you to show this video because you did it with Indivisible.
Yeah.
Other people who are organizing this thing. So why don't you go ahead?
Yeah, I just want to just set it up here. That first of all, this is not 100% complete, but I did, of course, want to give our viewers a sneak peek as we often do. For anybody who's just joining us for the first time, I'm the co-founder of the Seneca Project, which I founded along with my very good friend Tara Setmayer and also fellow Mayday Network cohort. And we produced a couple videos, one of which will come out later today. This is the one you're going to see. Galvanizing people and also reminding folks that we can do hard things. And throughout American history, very brave, very dedicated and patriotic Americans have stood up and fought back for the things and the ideals that we believe in. We are not being asked to cross oceans. We're not being asked to pick up muskets. We're just being asked to march in the streets with our lawn signs and our lattes on Saturday, this coming Saturday, October 18th, in many cities, villages, and towns across the country. So I'm just going to go ahead and show this, not all the way complete video, but here is a sneak peek.
We're together as one.
I'm standing right here. I ain't got no fear, no fear, no fear. Whole world is watching and I hope we ready, we ready. Been through a whole lot, but we overcome.
People need to come together.
I was waiting for this and now it's my turn.
This is restoring my faith in humanity. We are stronger together.
We got the power.
I love this country.
Chills, Michelle. Amazing. Amazing.
Yeah. It was, and it's something that, you've got me motivated, Michelle, when you said we can do hard things. And I think that and I like to be a little contrarian. So I think what I'm going to do is have like a king's protest, like just, instead of
pro
no
kings.
Yeah.
Pro
So I'm going to get the
kings, not no
wig.
kings, but pro king.
And
You're going to be like the guy from,
No.
you're going to be, what's his name from Hamilton?
I'm
You're
gonna-
going to be dressed up like George III, saying signs.
Yes. And
You'll be back.
yeah. And I'll do the laugh. The really haughty laugh, like, this new king's protest.
Yes.
How you Americans, such plebeians. I'll do that. And then promptly, I mean, it's Denver. I probably won't get beat right away. So,
Right.
If it was Philly, I'd have problems.
Everybody's too stoned in Denver to actually get violent. It's going to be fine.
Yeah. Well, listen. I just want to say, and like a big reason also why we wanted to do that, and we did partner with the great folks over at Indivisible to produce these videos, and there's many other organizations that are doing this as well. But in these very fraught times that we are living in, I know people are nervous because there's ICE and there's DHS and there's all these people, trying to hunt us down and punish us for exercising our constitutional rights. And they also want to create this illusion that we have already lost these rights. Now, I'm not going to sugarcoat things. These rights are very, very, very much in danger, especially, dependent on where you were born and what color your skin is. But if you are a white person and you were born in this country, you have absolutely no excuse. And your ass better be up. Your ass better be on the street with a sign. I don't care don't bring a sign, just bring yourself. Grab somebody in your life. Make your voices heard, because I'm going to tell you what, when the administration sees the millions and millions of people on Saturday marching in the streets of the towns, villages, and cities of this country, it is going to send a message. And it is the collective outrage of the American people that will hopefully, in the end, make the biggest difference.
And I just want to add something to that. Like, with the energy she's talking about, like, it's rare in any moments in our history that really democracy should be something you do all the time.
Mm-hmm.
But there are critical moments you need to stand up. And maybe you can't. Maybe you're, you have some disabilities, or maybe you have something that's preventing you from actually. But what you can do, right, is you can be part of that support network. You can give people, maybe you give people some rides, like maybe you donate to a fund that helps people with ride share. Maybe you get involved in your local community. And like one of the things when I was organizing that could be a massive help is because a lot of these take place, at least in the rural counties that I organized in, we're at schools. And a lot of people can't make it because they have kids, right? You can't so maybe you help with some other folks to run a daycare real quick while the parents go to the meeting or go to the protest or something like that. There's other ways that you can get involved. But to Michelle's point, you got to get involved. You got to be all in. You got to do something.
Democracy is not a spectator sport, guys.
Right.
We all must participate. We all must show up, and we must do so peacefully, but loud as hell.
Agreed.
Loud as hell.
And it's so important, because otherwise he's not going to hear it. He's going to think that there's no support. He thinks he's got us beat because our leadership in Washington has effectively shown him that we're beat. And the reality is we're not beat. We are here. We are energized. It is a bottom up movement, because it cannot be top down.
I would disagree with one point of that. I don't really think he's thinking of anything at this point.
No, not
Julie,
yet.
except maybe,
Not yet.
you know,
Not yet.
maybe just
but-
well done steak and ketchup, you know, like that's about it.
But he should be.
Or a Big Mac.
Right.
All right.
And I will say this too, and just to bring it back to what we're doing here, building this show, this morning show, we want to, you know, we plan to do daily. The other programming we do with Frederick, with our friend Tara here at the Mayday Network, and you know, the shows and programming that we plan to develop, because we're going to come and tell you the truth. We are going to bring you the stories that we think are important, because I'm going to prepare people. I don't think that the mainstream media will cover Saturday. Not in the way that it deserves. I don't think that we'll see the images and we won't hear the stories that the American people need to stay galvanized, and corporate media understands that. And so that is why I hope that people will invest and tune in and share, click and like and subscribe to the Mayday Network, to other places like The Bulwark and David Pakman and Midas Touch and all these other platforms and groups and companies and organizations that are bringing you the real stories, bringing you the truth, bringing you the galvanizing movement that we all need to participate in. Yeah.
And on that note, everybody.
And to that point. No, I was going to say on that note, I want to thank you all for spending part of your morning with us, and we'll see you tomorrow. And Monday through Fridays after that at 8 a.m. Eastern, or anytime on the Mayday Network, right here on YouTube.
That's right.
And what do they got to do, Michelle, if they want to get all that awesome Mayday Network?
They need to like and subscribe to the Mayday Network on YouTube, because you will be the first to know. You will be the first to get a little ding-a-ling, ling-ling, ring-ring when we're going to go live.
Turn on those notifications.
On the notification. So like and subscribe, because it helps the algorithm and helps us immensely in getting the word out.
Thanks, everybody.
Absolutely.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you.
See you tomorrow.
Bye-bye.
See you tomorrow.